party journeyed onward, the great wizard, the skillful ranger, and the covetous Jew.
This tape makes people freak out wherever it goes. My precious.
We are so back with my first real series on this channel, where we analyze South Park movie parodies and rank them. And this week, it's time to break down what really could be the best parody Matt and Trey ever did. Yeah, you guessed it. It's time to break down the return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers.
Whoa!
Which was suggested by my two loyal supporters, Green Nighttails and Coppertop Loco, who both won the vote with 65 and 34 likes. And again, if you have a suggestion for the next South Park movie parody, drop a comment below, cause the comment with the most likes wins. So, without further ado, let's break down how South Park took the greatest trilogy of all time and turned it into one of the most beloved episodes ever.
You're sending us on a quest? You ask of us to take the one video to the House of Butters?
Yeah, whatever.
So, I was gonna have this whole chapter where I talk about Lord of the Rings and give you all this additional context. But let's be honest, if you clicked on this video, you probably already know all that shit anyways. So honestly, fuck it. Let's just jump right into the episode.
Ooh, you're a little frisky, aren't you?
And I will give you context when it's needed. Is that okay, 6th graders? Tough crowd. What say you, Theoden?
How did it come to this?
I just want a cool line for my next chapter, man.
Yes.
Yeah?
The horn of Helm Hammerhand shall sound in the deep
Yeah.
one last time.
Yes. Yes.
So it begins.
So, the return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers is, in my opinion, the best example of how an animated comedy should parody a movie. The episode starts with the boys over at Stan's house playing Lord of the Rings.
Oh, great wizard of Gregendoth, what quest do you ask of this ranger and paladin?
So, with the boys clearly inspired, they have started using costumes and role-playing as the characters from the movie. And with this, we get our first references from Lord of the Rings. Stan refers to himself as a ranger, and even though he never calls himself Aragon directly, like, come on, Aragon is literally a ranger from the north. Kyle, however, is a paladin, and at this point, we do not really understand what character Kyle is supposed to be, but we will later.
I'm a paladin, Cartman! Jews can't be paladins.
And Cartman is probably the easiest to recognize, because judging by his costume, he is obviously Bruce Phalange, but in a wizard outfit. No, but he is really supposed to be Gandalf. I know. I don't see the resemblance either. Back to the video. The boys are looking for a quest to really, play Lord of the Rings. And luckily for them, Randy has the perfect quest.
Boys, Butter's parents want to borrow the Lord of the Rings video we rented. Could you take it over to them?
And with this, Randy sees the perfect opportunity to avoid having to do it himself. And let's face it, Randy kinda needed the boys out of the house for whatever this is. And it works out perfectly, because for Randy, bringing back a movie is, well, a boring chore. But for the boys, it's a real-life quest that must be completed, no matter the cost. So within 49 seconds, the boys has been given the quest that will eventually snowball and develop into the plot of the episode. And this is a stark contrast from all the other episodes we have analyzed, because it usually takes Matt and Trey a good portion of the first half just to set the parody up. But in this episode, it basically starts right away, as the simple premise of them playing Lord of the Rings enables their characters to roleplay and wear costumes in the most natural way, giving the perfect platform to fuck around with, Tolkien style.
Good job, wizard.
And so the party journeyed onward, the great wizard, the skillful ranger, and the covetous Jew. Wow. This sounds like a really important quest.
After accepting the quest, we get a new reference when the boys has to decide which way to go.
Through the mines of Vandor or over the mountains of Grog?
This is taken from when the Fellowship had to decide if they wanted to take the path over the mountain, or, as Gimli wants, go through the mines of Moria. But before we get an answer, they are suddenly ambushed.
Look out! Here comes the great dragon of Paragraph!
And this is apparently a reference. Well, it's actually more of a meme or inside joke within the internet translation community. It comes from the movie National Lampoon's Vacation, of all places, where the family father, Clark Griswold, says, "Look out, here comes the great dragon of parentheses, growl," and an early AI speech-to-text somehow misheard the growl as paragraph, henceforth.
The great dragon of Paragraph!
I know, riveting stuff. But seriously, this is the kind of tiny detail Matt and Trey sprinkle into their episodes for losers like me to analyze. But back to the episode. Luckily for the Ranger and Paladin, the Wizard has some sick moves to shield them from the headlights. I mean, fire from the dragon.
The Lord of the Rings wasn't the only thing I rented from the video store. I also rented the porno.
And not just any porno, but the porno, or at least according to his buddies at the office. And with the boys out of the house, him and Sharon can finally have some cozy alone time. You know, while watching a porno. Oh, how romantic.
Wow, the production values are really good in this porno.
But soon, they realize that the tape Randy has put on is not the porno, but rather the Lord of the Rings. Which means...
The boys have the hottest porno ever made.
Oh my god. We then cut back to the boys completing the quests and delivering the one true tape to the House of Butters. And we then get the shocking reveal that Butters' parents are not the ones who are going to watch it.
Oh boy! Finally I get to see it!
Butters is so happy that he can finally watch Lord of the Rings. And let's just say, he is not disappointed.
Whoa!
After saving South Park and completing their important quest, the boys start their long journey home. But on the way, they see a Rivendell monster up ahead. And we get our first direct reference.
Prepare for battle!
Prepare for battle!
As you can see, it's quite literally a direct quote from The Return of the King. But here is where it gets a little weird. This whole South Park episode is obviously parodying the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But when the episode came out in November 2002, only the first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, had actually been released. The clip I showed you, however, is from the third movie, The Return of the King, which didn't come out until 2003. So somehow, Cartman says the line before Gandalf. Huh.
Prepare for battle!
A few moments later.
Prepare for battle!
Now that does not necessarily have to be strange. it could be taken directly from the source material. But I tried to check if "prepare for battle" is a Gandalf quote from the books, and I literally couldn't find it anywhere. Did Peter Jackson steal a line from South Park?
Whoa!
I don't really know, but I'm sure one of you guys will let me know in the comments. But for real, if anybody knows, please tell me, I need to know. Okay, so back to the episode. The monster of Rivendell turns out to be Randy and Sharon, who are on their way to the House of Butters to tell them,
Hi, Chris. Hi, Linda. We were just wondering if we could get our porno back.
But when Randy sees the kids, he comes up with a brilliant plan by making up a new quest for the boys.
Do you think you can go get that tape back for us really fast?
However, he does make one thing very clear. They must not look at the tape, because it possesses evil powers.
Wow, this is so cool.
Before this, the boys have referred to the tape as the One True Tape, which is obviously a reference to the One True Ring. But now that Randy has given it evil powers, they can actually roleplay it as if it was the One True Ring.
Gentlemen, we are off!
In all haste, the boys rush back to the House of Butters, who is still down in the basement watching the tape.
Hey, what's happening down there?
Without much fuss, they quickly take the tape back. At first, Butters tries nicely to get his movie back,
You didn't have to let me finish watching it.
Nay, Butters!
but the boys are fully set on completing their quest, so they leave the House of Butters to bring the tape back from whence it came. But the tape's powers are treacherous, as it has now corrupted sweet little Butters, who must follow wherever the tape goes.
Butters!
The boys allow him to join them, but on the one condition.
You have to play like Lord of the Rings.
Kyle does not know it yet, but he just made a massive mistake. Because Butters starts playing his own twisted version of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
This quickly gets him banned from the group, as the boys leave him behind in disgust.
You're a freak, Butters! You can't play with us!
And now we get probably the most direct character reference in the entire episode, as poor Butters slowly transitions into Gollum.
My precious.
It's pretty damn awesome, but more importantly, it works. And I can just say that making Butters into Gollum is honestly a stroke of genius. Because Butters probably has the most similar personality traits to Tolkien's Riverfolk characters. He's so nice, sweet, naive, and innocent, which makes the contrast so much stronger once he has become corrupted. So in their own twisted and unique way, Matt and Trey are actually able to replicate what Tolkien did with Smeagol.
And so the tape was again retrieved to be brought back to Stan's house.
After having successfully shaken off Butters, the boys start to actually believe that the tape has some weird powers after seeing what happened to their once sweet friend Butters. But just as they're trying to piece it all together, they're confronted by the scariest thing of them all.
The sixth graders!
And if that's not scary enough, sixth graders on bikes. And with all sixth graders having a sixth sense, as we all know, they immediately hone in on the tape.
What you got there? Nothing.
And before the boys are able to do anything, the main sixth grader takes the one tape into his possession. Although he does not know its true power yet, as he is deceived by the cover, confusing it for a simple copy of Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings? Ha! That movie's gay!
You're gay. But upon further inspection, he learns the truth.
What the? Whoa! Check it out, you guys!
Whoa!
Oh my god, Backdoor Sluts 9. Which weirdly enough is also a reference, but from a deleted scene in the first movie, where the 9 Nazgul have a crazy after party, and one thing leads to another, and they start to bum each other. But back to the episode. The 6th graders have now realized the dark power of the tape.
Oh man, I can't wait to see this!
And decide to keep it so they can watch it themselves. This again reaffirms the boys' belief that the tape possesses some evil power, as basically everyone who has come in contact with it so far has started acting strange.
Oh man, I can't wait to see this!
But on a side note, the 6th graders' reaction to the tape makes total sense, as all 6th graders in their position would do the same. I know I would. But while the head 6th grader is admiring the tape, the wizard uses his epic staff skills to knock it out, and the boys make a run for it. And with this, we probably get one of the most direct character parodies in the episode, as from this point on, the 6th graders hunt the boys in search for the one true tape, just like the Nazgul hunt Frodo and the other hobbits in search of the Ring of Power. And if there was any doubt whether the 6th graders are supposed to parody the Nazgul, it gets immediately confirmed when the boys hide from them.
I smell 4th graders!
It is basically 1-to-1, with the 4 hobbits hiding from the head Nazgul, the Witch King of Angmar, and the 4 boys also hiding from the head 6th graders. Yeah, that whole sequence is super sweet. After having successfully shaken off the 6th graders, the boys decide to seek counsel and guidance from the High Elf of Faragon. Wait a second. Faragon is not from Lord of the Rings. Or is it? Faramir? Aragon? Faragon. But yeah.
Yeah, the High Elf! You'll know what to do!
And so once again, the boys must continue their journey. While all this is happening, Randy and Sharon have finally decided to go over to Butter's house, as the boys have yet to return with the one tape.
Oh, hello, Randy, Sharon. Chris, are the boys over here?
As far as they know, Butters is the only kid there, and he's downstairs watching Lord of the Rings alone. And this is when Randy and Sharon have to come clean and explain the situation.
Well, this is really sort of funny, but we accidentally put a porno in the Lord of the Rings box.
Oh god!
Whoops. Don't you just hate it when that happens? So they all rush downstairs, but they are not prepared for the horrifying sight they're about to witness.
Precious, could you bring back my precious?
The once sweet Butters have now fully transformed into Gollum. I know I'm repeating myself, but again, Butters as Gollum is just freaking awesome.
And so that's the situation. All the boys are out there somewhere with a pornographic videotape.
Gerald, however, is not nearly as stressed as everyone else. In fact, he seems more interested in figuring out just how bad of a porno it is. So naturally, he tries to gauge the severity of the situation with his go-to porno benchmark.
Crotch Capers 3?
And before we move on, like, what the frick does that even mean? Crotch capers? Yeah, honestly, I don't want to know. But yeah, back to the episode, where Randy reveals exactly which tape the boys are in possession of.
Backdoor Sluts 9. Backdoor Sluts 9?!
Yeah, this is some serious business. Because judging by that reaction,
Backdoor Sluts 9?!
we can immediately tell that this is not just any porno. No, this is the porno. The one porno to rule them all.
It is the single most vile, twisted, dark piece of porn ever made.
How the hell do you know?
I read about it in People.
And when Sheila finally understands what they're dealing with, she starts freaking out. Who doesn't love a Sheila crash out?
Butt munch! What?
But yeah, She's especially worried that the boys will not understand what they're seeing without the proper context, which, to be fair, probably a valid concern. But on the other hand, I don't think I would want my parents to give me that kind of context.
It can't hurt them that much, can it?
Precious, let me see my precious.
Yeah, that timing is legendary. So, the parents decide they need to find the boys before they turn into something similar to Butters. But once again, Matt and Trey are able, through brilliant writing, to make a random porno tape feel as powerful and treacherous as the Ring of Power itself. And the crazy thing is that it never feels forced. Nobody really acts out of character. Whether it's the 6th graders wanting the tape for themselves or the parents worrying about what it might do to the boys, everyone reacts exactly how you would expect them to. The situation is completely absurd, yet it somehow feels believable. Yeah, Matt and Trey are truly the GOATs. But back to the episode. As the boys have just arrived at the house of Clyde, but they immediately run into a problem as the door does not open after they knock. Luckily, Cartman remembers that they need to say the secret password.
Belloc.
Belloc.
As you can see, this is also a reference to the Fellowship of the Ring. We then meet Clyde, but the boys do not need to speak with Clyde. They need to speak with the High Elf of Faragon. Honestly, I would be so disappointed to see Clyde's stupid face if I had just said the super epic line, Melon, to open a secret door. But luckily for them, Clyde knows the whereabouts of the High Elf of Faragon and goes to fetch him.
What troubles you?
The boys explain that their copy of Lord of the Rings is no ordinary copy, but a particularly powerful version.
We're seriously, High Elf. Something very evil lurks in this tape.
The boys, however, are able to convince the High Elf to summon the Council together. And so once again, they are sent on yet another journey, this time to the Woods of Gathering, located in Token the Black's backyard, where the Council will be held. Meanwhile, over at the parking lot, which is basically the super evil 6th graders' headquarters, the Witch King has gathered his army and is briefing his minions about the situation.
Now, let's go get that porno!
So now, all the 6th graders are looking for them. But even more terrifying, their parents are also looking for them.
We just want to talk to you!
We have now finally come to one of the most iconic scenes in both the movie and the episode, the Council of Elrond.
You've been summoned here to answer the threat of Mordor.
And the Council of Faragon.
Look, until we see this tape's power for ourselves, we cannot risk giving it to anybody.
And in this council, we get a lot of direct character parodies. Because just like in Lord of the Rings, where the most important characters of Middle-earth gather to decide what should be done with the One Ring, in South Park, the kids gather to decide what should be done with the Tape of Power. And the most obvious one is, of course, the High Elf of Faragon, who is hosting the council, just like Elrond. So yeah, Clyde is basically Elrond of South Park.
One thing for sure, this tape cannot be trusted with anybody.
And just as every race is represented in Lord of the Rings, the same is the case for South Park. So let's first take the characters that are not direct parodies of specific characters, but more their respective races. Pip, Pirip, Timmy, and Jason are supposed to be elves. Ike Broflovsky and Dougie are representing the dwarves for the obvious reason that they resemble them in their rugged looks. And lastly, Tweak is representing the race of men. And last but not least, Kevin Stoley, who is representing the stormtroopers.
Kevin, god damn it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite running gags in South Park. But back to the episode, where we get the clear difference, because the council decides that someone has to watch the tape.
But if we watch it, we could fall under its spell too. That is true.
Whereas in Lord of the Rings, they only discuss the possibility of using the ring.
Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy. Let us use it against him.
You cannot wield it.
But who will dare to watch the tape? Will it be the ranger? An elf? One of the dwarves? Oh, I know. It must be the...
Talangar the Black?
I wonder why Talangar was chosen out of everybody.
I'm not scared.
But Tolkien lives up to his name and fearlessly walks in to watch the tape for a few seconds.
The fate of Middle-earth is in my hands.
But when he returns, he is no longer Talangar the Black.
I'm not playing anymore. Whoa, wait, what'd you see? I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm out.
With Talangar's reaction and the fact that he immediately stops playing Lord of the Rings, the council realizes that the boys were actually telling the truth. The tape does possess some strange power over people. With them grasping the seriousness of the situation, we get a very similar moment to the movie.
It must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came.
It must be returned to the video store from whence it came.
So, they must return the tape back to the video store that is called
Two Towers Video Store.
which is obviously a reference to the second Lord of the Rings movie. But on a side note, funnily enough, the video store is located in Conifer, which apparently is the actual town Trey Parker grew up in. Pretty cool, huh? But is that his own way of comparing his hometown with Mordor? I don't know. But back to the episode. Because we get even more almost direct quotes when Fillmore offers his services.
I'll go.
Ah! We cannot trust something of that much power to a dwarf.
I will be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf!
This is just classic South Park. Instead of Gimli saying,
Never trust an elf!
we get Craig saying, never trust a dwarf. They basically just flip it for the hell of it. But after that, everybody starts shouting at each other, which is very similar to how the Council of Elrond plays out in the movie.
I will take the ring to Mordor.
We almost get exactly the same scene here.
I will take it.
Yeah, the only difference is that Stan is the one who volunteers, even though he has clearly been Aragorn and not Frodo this whole episode. And honestly, I think this is intentional, because this is actually something both Matt and Trey and Peter Jackson do. Neither of them adapts the story by copying every character beat one-to-one. Peter Jackson constantly moved Tolkien's lines between characters, cut characters out entirely, and gave moments from one character to another if it worked better for the movie.
And in that way, things started to happen, like, lines that Elrond would say in the book were given to Aragorn to say in the movie.
And Matt and Trey do the exact same thing here. So instead of matching everything perfectly, they move scenes, dialogue, and character moments around to make the story work with the cast they have and the format they have. Which is kind of funny, because in a weird way, South Park ends up adapting Lord of the Rings using many of the same tricks Peter Jackson used when adapting Tolkien. And this is why Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings adaptation is simply one of the best ever. And Matt and Trey, well, they are the undisputed goats of parodies. But back to the episode where Stan has volunteered to take the tape back to the video store. But to do this alone is simply too dangerous.
Take with you the wizard, the dwarf, the warrior, the cleric, and the Jew.
Here, however, it's kind of different from the movie, because rather than every character volunteering one by one, the High Elf of Faragon basically just picks them out himself. And I understand that, because they probably didn't have the time. But it would have been so sick if they did it a little bit more similar to the movie.
I will help you bear this burden, Frodo Baggins, as long as it is yours to bear.
Because that whole sequence is just so awesome sauce.
By my life or death, I can protect you. I will.
The High Elf of Faragon picks Craig Tucker, who is supposed to be Boromir, Jimmy Valver, who is supposed to be Sam Gamgee, Phil Moore, who plays Gimli, Cartman as the wizard, and lastly, Kyle, who is somehow supposed to be the ring bearer. But anyways, together they shall be known as
The Fellowship of the Lord of the Rings.
So yeah, just as Elrond basically gives all the responsibility to someone else, Clyde has now also formed his fellowship, so he can go about his business and...
I have to go home now before I get in trouble.
Those goddamn sneaky elves. But yeah, just like the Fellowship of the Ring sets out from Rivendell on their long journey to Mordor, the Fellowship of the Lord of the Rings can begin their final quest from Tolkien's backyard, the long journey to the Two Towers video store, where they will return the tape of power once and for all. And almost immediately, we get a very direct cinematic parody when both the fellowships tries to cross the dangerous mountain pass. In the movie, they decide to go over the mountain, Caratharas, but Saruman tries to bring it down, causing an avalanche that buries the Fellowship of the Ring and ultimately makes them choose another route. But while in South Park, they're just walking up this mountain road, Kenosha Pass, which is a real mountain pass in Colorado. And as they're walking, there is suddenly a massive avalanche.
Look out!
That almost takes out Craig, but luckily they all dodge it and are unscathed. And so the boys come to the only logical conclusion for who or what is behind the enormous avalanche.
A dark wizard must be trying to stop us!
Meanwhile, the parents who have been I'm gonna stop now. The parents who has been searching all over South Park for their kids, well, they have now gone to Tolkien's house after catching wind of their little backyard meeting. But yet again, they are playing catch up because they are too late. Randy now has to explain the situation for what has to be at least the third or fourth time, although this time he's kind of framing it a bit differently.
We think our boys might be showing other children a pornographic tape.
All the parents rush to Tolkien, who is sitting in his massive dining room, just staring into the abyss, questioning anything and everything, as the parents try to just get a simple response from Tolkien.
All right, Tolkien, we know you must be very confused about what you saw.
But he just keeps staring out into the thin air. And then Randy, of all people, tries to explain that what he just saw.
It's called lovemaking and it's part of being in love.
And this is when Tolkien finally responds. And we finally understand what horrifying scenes he has watched on that tape.
5 midgets spanking a man covered with Thousand Island dressing. Is that making love?
After seeing Tolkien this shook up, the parents plead with him to tell him where the boys are planning to go next, so they can intervene and have the talk.
Oh, Gerald, poor Kyle must be just as confused and scared as this poor kid.
We're entering the limits of Bailey. Everyone stay close.
And here we get what is probably another Lord of the Rings reference, as they start talking about the great ringworm of Bailey.
Perhaps the great ringworm of Bailey is about.
But to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what they are referencing here. But back to the episode, where we get another reference, but this time from a different fantasy franchise, as they pass another group of kids role-playing Harry Potter. From the looks of it, we see a kid with glasses, which must mean he is Harry Potter. I mean, for what other reason would someone ever wear glasses? We also see what appears to be Severus Snape.
I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses.
Ooh, that sounds great. I'll call about it. But for now, back to the episode, where rather than greeting his fellow wizards politely, the fat wizard decides to insult them.
Ha! Fags!
And from this point on, it honestly feels like Matt and Trey just decided to cram in as many direct Lord of the Rings references and parodies as they possibly could, because immediately we get the first of many references as they start coming one after another. So, the ring bearer, Kyle, points out,
You guys, somebody's following us.
It's Butters.
Butters?
Yes, he's been following us for like 2 hours.
There's something down there.
It's Gollum.
Gollum.
He's been following us for 3 days.
whereas Butters has been following them for 2 hours, longing to be reunited with his precious pornographic tape. Which honestly sounds about right, considering he probably just saw his first set of boobs, which is a life-changing moment for a young man.
These are like the hottest tits I've ever seen! Whoa. Check them out!
I can still remember the first time I saw my first set of boobs. It was the summer of 2009. I remember because it was a hot day and I had just finished curling practice. When all of a sudden, you know what, let's not go there. So back to the episode, as the boys make their way through the town of Bailey, when they suddenly hear a thunderous sound. Because right before we see what is coming, Jimmy makes a clever reference to the movie from when Gandalf reads the book of Mazarbul in Moria, where the dwarves describe their final stand against the goblins. And it goes like this.
You cannot get out. They are coming.
They are coming.
And just like in the movie, Matt and Trey use those words both as a funny reference and as a way to build anticipation of danger. And we now see what is coming. The 6th graders. And they are on bikes. But fortunately, unlike in the movie, they don't have a cave troll. Phew. Unless you consider this guy. And as the 6th graders close in on them, Jimmy decides to fully lean into changing his character from Samwise to Gandalf.
You guys go on ahead.
Which pisses the fat wizard off, as Jimmy is about to steal his whole wizard steez with what are arguably the most famous Gandalf quotes of all time.
You shall not pass!
You shall not... You shall not...
Pass! Without subscribing. But yeah, Jimmy's version is not quite as epic as Gandalf's, but it is effective in a different way, because it's really funny.
You shall not... You shall not...
With Jimmy not being able to get the line out, and the 6th graders having absolutely no regard for his handicappedness, they just keep running him over and over and over. Yeah, they seem to have no respect for the fact that this is supposed to be his big selfless, heroic moment. But I do think this is another example of Matt and Trey deciding that a scene works better if it is given to a different character. Because instead of having Cartman do the iconic "you shall not pass" moment, they give it to Jimmy, and they also change the antagonist from, well, a Balrog to the Nazgul 6th graders. And honestly, I love when they do stuff like this, because the end result is usually funnier.
You shall not pass.
Than if they just copied everything one-to-one.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to the Council of Elrond.
No, thank you, Family Guy, for always showing up to be the bad example, or the perfect example of what not to do.
Sorry my hobbit hole is so tight.
But yeah, I will stop talking about it now. So back to the episode, where the remaining fellowship is still being hunted, as the brave Jimmy has sadly failed to stop the cunning 6th graders. The wizard then comes up with a genius idea.
Quick, cross the river! 6th graders can't stand water.
Not only because they are scared of water, but because crossing it would be considered a failed RP and would warrant a -1. And this is obviously a reference to the movie where Arwen is being hunted by the Nazgul while rescuing Frodo and crosses the river to safety. Although reluctant at first.
Give up the halfling shield.
If you want him, come and claim him.
The Nazgul do eventually try to cross the river, but they get absolutely railed by the river's horsepower. Yeah, but back to the episode where everyone in the Fellowship agrees with the Fat Wizard.
6th graders can't stand water.
What? That's stupid.
And of course, it is that asshole Craig who disagrees.
Whatever. I'm going back to play with the Harry Potter kids.
Now this might be a stretch, but in a weird way, he does stay true to his character, because by deciding to ditch the Fellowship and go play with Harry Potter kids instead, he kinda betrays them, just like Boromir betrays the Fellowship when he tries to take the ring from Frodo.
But lend me the ring. No.
There is, however, one significant difference, as Boromir realizes his mistake.
What have I done?
And let's just say, he has quite the redemption arc.
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain.
Just give me a moment. I'm not crying. Okay, let's continue. And I forgot to mention that Fillmore, who is their Gimli equivalent, also left.
Me too.
So the boys hurry over the river, and just like the Fat Wizard predicted, the 6th graders stay true to their roleplay. Somehow, as the 6th graders come up with all kinds of excuses not to enter the river.
Dude, I don't want to get wet. Yeah, I don't really like the water. Besides, if our bikes get wet, the chains will rust.
Oh, god damn it. All right, come on, we'll find a bridge.
Which makes sense, because I feel like the older you get, the less willing you are to get wet. But for now, the 3 remaining members of the Fellowship are safe with the tape.
We're not lost, Jugar of Julingrad. We just don't know where we are. That's what lost means, stupid. Kenny, shut your goddamn mouth!
But just when all hope seems lost, they stumbled upon the most unlikely creature imaginable.
The Butter's noses. Oh, brother, the video store. Yes, not far from here.
Butters, who has somehow become even more Gollum than before.
Just let Butters see the precious.
Yeah, that's a sick Gollum impression. And here we get a pretty direct reference, because Gollum knows the way to Mordor and ends up leading Frodo and Sam there.
The ring is treacherous. We will hold you to your word.
Yes.
And in some weird South Park way, Butters also knows the way to the video store and starts leading the remaining members of the Fellowship. And he does this completely out of the kindness of his heart, not because Stan threatened him.
Tell us how to get to the video store, Butters, else we're gonna kick your ass. No hurts, Butters. We will show you the way.
And definitely not because he has some secret ulterior motive. No, not Butters. He's just a sweet little guy. So together, they continue their journey towards the Two Towers video store, or Mordor. Meanwhile, the parents, who are desperately looking for the boys to give them context on what can be seen on the tape.
I just know with every passing minute, little Kyle is seeing more and more depraved sex acts.
As they drive through the town of Bailey, they run into Jimmy Wise, the brave, who has just started to recover from his valiant stand against the Nazgul 6th graders. And here, we probably get one of the dumbest but funniest sequences in the entire episode, when the adults ask Jimmy where the boys are taking the tape.
They're taking it to the...
And Jimmy, being Jimmy, almost gets it out.
Come on, Jimmy, we don't have a lot of time.
And of course, the last word he cannot get out is the place they're heading.
They took it back to the videos. The videos.
But rather than being kind and understanding, the adults keep trying to finish the sentence for him.
The videos.
The video sandwich? The video stockyard. What's a video stockyard, Jimmy?
Until Jimmy finally gets pissed off enough to get it out.
Staples. They went to the video Staples. Where's that, Jimmy?
No, you retards. The videos.
do it.
I must admit, I did not expect Jimmy to be the one to rat out his fellowship members. Like if it was Craig or Clyde.
Clyde's a dick.
Sure, I wouldn't even bat an eye, because they're notorious assholes. But Jimmy, man.
Say it ain't so. Whoa, whoa.
But yeah, after Jimmy's betrayal, the adults finally know where the kids are heading. So they waste no time and immediately starts rushing over to the video store, leaving the traitor behind and raising the stakes to 1,000. The boys have arrived at Mount Doom. I mean, the Two Towers video store, which to be fair is basically the equivalent.
There they are!
But just as they arrive, so do the 6th graders, who attack immediately because they know that as soon as that tape has been returned, it is over. Just like the Nazgul know in Lord of the Rings that if the ring is destroyed, it's basically sayonara. But to the boys' horrifying surprise, the video store is closed.
Oh no! They're closed!
Luckily for them, there is another way, as there exists a secret tunnel Dropbox where you can return the videotape.
Quick, Kyle, drop the movie in!
But just as the ring bearer Kyle is about to cast the tape back from whence it came, Butters sees his opportunity and takes his precious back. And this is clearly a reference to the book, because when Frodo and Sam finally reach Mount Doom, Gollum manages to take the ring from Frodo, but here, Butters just snatches it from Kyle's hand. And in the book, he quite literally bites it off. After Gollum takes the ring from Frodo, he celebrates. And we all know what happens after that. I sure hope. Because if you haven't seen the movies, do yourself a favor. Sit your ass down and do a Lord of the Rings marathon. Okay, so let's see how Matt and Trey can make this whole epic last showdown. Well, as Butters runs towards the 6th graders, Kyle decides to be a freaking hero, runs after him, picks him up, and freaking throws him and the one true tape into the fiery Dropbox from whence it came. And just like in Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth is safe again. But the 6th graders, who have been idly watching this whole thing, are still pissed at the boys.
You stupid little 4th graders! The tape is returned to which it came. Its power over you shall fade as well.
And he's not completely wrong. Their problem is about to be solved, just not for the reason he thinks. Because just as the 6th grader Witch King is approaching, we see a butterfly, and the epic music starts playing. Oh my god. We all know what that means.
The eagles are coming!
The Nazgul 6th graders are no match for parent eagles, so they flee the scene. And with that, the 6th grader army is defeated. The parents are reunited with the children, and everything ended happily ever after. The end.
All right, now listen, kids. There's some things we need to put into context for you.
See, boys, a woman is sensitive in her vagina, and it feels good to have a man's penis inside of it.
That's right, but sometimes a woman chooses to use other things.
I think this is what makes the ending so brilliant, because the entire episode is built around the adults being terrified that the boys might watch the tape and learn about sex without the proper context, and thereby get scarred for life. But the irony is that the boys never saw it. They spend the entire episode role-playing the tape as if it was the ring from the Lord of the Rings instead. So in the end, it is basically a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Going number 1 or number 2 on your lover is something people might do, but you must make sure your partner is okay with it before you start doing it.
But the final shot we see in the episode is Butters reunited with his precious. And now, we finally get the answer to why the tape has been orange all this time. Well, it's 'cause the tapes from the Two Towers video store, well, they serve as the lava.
These houses are precious. Houses.
Okay, so we have now come to the real juicy part, where I take my hood off. Haha, no. I would never do that. I look way too good. But yeah, we have finally come to the part where I rank the episode as a movie parody and compare it to the other episodes we have covered so far. And when it comes to the placement, well, I definitely think this is a much better parody than Human Centipede. It's currently sitting in the C tier. And let's be honest, well, it's way better than Medicinal Fried Chicken in A tier as well. So the real question becomes, can it beat the powerhouse that is Wacky Molestation Adventure and take the all-important South Park movie parody throne? And for me, yeah, I think it does. We have a new king!
Now come the days of the king.
My friends, you bow to no one.
So as I mentioned at the start of the video, the comment suggesting a South Park movie parody that gets the most likes will become my next video and get a freaking shout out. So may the best win. And I will try to upload every other Saturday or Friday from now on for all eternity. And most importantly, do not forget to like and subscribe. It sure helps a lot. And if you for some weird reason do not feel like subscribing, it's okay. You don't have to. Guess I'm not good enough for you.